Hey trainers, it's Dalton.
And I'm Mike. Welcome to another episode of Pokemon MD, and today we're going to be talking about the Gen 8 reveal.
Yay, Gen 8 hype train.
Yes, definitely glad it's here. We have a little bit of knowledge about what's going on, and we're really psyched about it. So, yesterday was Pokemon Day. Really happy about that. Another year anniversary about the game and the world we all love so much. So yesterday we also got our Pokemon Direct, and we got a peek into Pokemon Sword and Shield, and we got to see the new region, the Galar region, a bit of look at the map, and we also got to see the 3 starters. Don't you want to go ahead and talk about those starters?
Yes, the 3 starters we got were Grookey, the grass starter, Scorbunny, the fire starter, and Sobble, the water starter. All adorably cute. I was in a deep dive yesterday after the Direct because several PokeTubers obviously made reaction videos and theory videos, and one of the things that I watched was one of the possible themes or gimmicks for the starters, because we all know that the starter Pokemon have a gimmick. Like Gen 1 was genetics, Gen 2 was ancient creatures, Gen 3 was unique and traditional evolution, Gen 4 was myths and legends, Gen 5 was the society classes, Gen 6 was the RPG classes, and Gen 7 was alchemy. So they said that this generation's gimmick is probably athleticism, dealing that when we saw Scorbunny come in, they've got the traditional bandage over the nose, which in anime typically means a character works a lot or is kind of clumsy and all that. But also it could be that in relation to football, the European football, not American football, and or rugby. And then Grookey could resemble either baseball or cricket. And then Sobble was the loosely described one with possible water polo, who knows. But they're all so cool. I think they're really well designed, very simplistic, especially Scorbunny is pretty simplistic, but it's good. But of course the thing that we all kind of care about with the starters is what their final evolutions are going to be. And when I got to looking at them and seeing how they all kind of interacted and stuff with each other in the trailer, part of me kind of got a sense of kind of an imperfect triangle, because last generation, in Generation 7, we didn't have a perfect triangle. The last perfect triangle we had was Gen 6, where in addition to the water, fire, grass starter, we had psychic, fighting, and dark, which all create a perfect triangle, one can beat the other. My theory for this generation is possibly a fire fairy type. Scorbunny will evolve into a fire fairy type. Sobble will evolve into a water poison type, and Grookey will evolve into a grass fighting type. Now I know we had a grass fighting type back in Gen 6, but it's one of the few grass fighting types we have, if I'm thinking correctly. I think we only have Chestnut and Virizion, honestly. I mean, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. But those are my theories. So, Mike, do you want to talk about which one you want to pick? Because I already know who I'm picking.
Well, I always go with fire. Every single game, I always go with fire. But I think this time I'm kind of leaning towards Grookey. I really want to see the final evolutions though before I make my pick and the typing. Because if it's firefighting, which we're all sick of, I will probably go with Grookey, just because to me he looks like the grass Chimchar. That's kind of what I got when I saw him. So I'm leaning towards that one, but I'm most likely going to end up picking Fire and sticking with Score Bunny and being a part of the Score Bunny squad.
Yeah, I already put on my Twitter hashtag Score Bunny Squad. Like, so, because like you, I always start with Fire. And eventually I'll get both the games, and whatever game I didn't initially pick is the one that I'll, like, deviate from Fire with.
Yeah, I'll probably end up doing the same thing. I'll probably end up getting whichever version I didn't get originally and maybe go with Grookey in that one. Sobble, to me, he looks adorable, but he looks like the Pikachu meme that took over a couple months back. So,
but it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that they did.
I know.
So, the region.
Now to talk about the region.
The region itself is. It looks good, and obviously it's based off of the UK, but it looks like it's mainly taking focus from England. England's part of the UK. I would like to see a little bit of. I would like to see if they incorporate a little bit of Scottish and Irish tropes in there. I thought that was really cool because my mom, her family is from Ireland. They're from Belfast, Northern Ireland. So I'm kind of like pulling for that Irish influence in there. But it's definitely based on like England and like kind of like the other parts of the UK. Looking at it, it looks like the very top obviously is London because you can see like Big Ben, the London Eye, like big landmarks that are a part of London. And part of me thinks that London will either be like the London town in the Galar region will be either the 8th gym or the Pokemon League, just because it's so far north. But then again, we've also had gyms that are pretty far north, like looking back into Gen 4 with Snowpoint City. That was the 7th gym. That was the 7th gym. And it was like the farthest north part of Sinnoh. So who knows? It could be the 7th or 8th gym, or it could very well be the Pokemon League.
Yeah, looking at it directly next to a map of the UK, it's so similar. And you've got like you said, London at the top. To me though, it kind of looks like we're gonna start at the bottom, obviously, and work our way all the way to the top, which seems pretty linear to me. Which, going back to Gen 1, a little bit of Gen 4, to the best of my knowledge, you had to go back through cities to get to other cities. And I don't feel like this is going to happen in this game. I feel like it's just going to be just straight. I could be wrong. But,
one thing I noticed was like once you got kind of towards the middle, it looked like it branched off a little bit where you could either go like north, west, or east. But so I feel like it'll make you go a certain direction, but then make you backtrack, and that's what's gonna cause it to be a little bit of a good game, because a lot of the things that I was seeing was like and hearing where people are like it looks like a really well designed region, but it also looks like just a straight line.
Yeah, that's definitely the way I looked at it when I first saw it. I was like, oh, that looks like I'm just gonna have to literally climb a ladder. And when you look at other regions, you kind of have to go back and through other places. So, I mean, maybe once you get to the middle, you're going to have to do a little more. But the region itself is super cool looking. I'd like to see what's behind. I want to see if any of these, because sometimes they'll show you the map, but there's a good chunk of the map that you can't really go to because, it's just not on the route. But it'd be cool to see, like, maybe behind that city at the top, maybe there's something back there.
Maybe the clouds are hiding something.
Yeah, that's true. Or like you said, if they're going off the UK, maybe they're gonna do what they did in Gen 1 with those islands, and maybe be able to go see some other islands in the game. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that it looks really good. It looks really interesting. I can't wait to start it.
I know it said coming out late November or late. I speculate it's coming out in November because it said late 2019, and they usually release the games like mid to late November. I think they usually release it like just before, if not the week of Thanksgiving. That way they get that Black Friday sale, even though Nintendo never goes on sale.
Yeah, I know you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to go get this game because it's going to be on sale. And I was thinking, man, should I wait till Black Friday? Do I need to pre-order? But I'm like, it's Nintendo. It's not going to go on sale.
No. Nintendo knows their stuff sells. They don't ever put it on sale. They know their stuff sells.
Yeah, definitely. And
please sponsor us, Nintendo.
I am 99% sure I'm getting my Nintendo Switch next week. So happy about that. But I don't know if I want to hold off because what if they do some special edition with the Switch with the release of this game? What if they do, the Nintendo Switch has a special design on it, or there's a special bundle? I don't know.
There's always a what if with that. Anytime there's a new game release, there's always a what if, like what if they do a bundle or whatnot. And that's honestly up to you, the consumer. It's if you want to hold off, if you want to go ahead and get it right now. Personally, I think if they're going to do any bundles, it's going to probably be like what happened with Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, where they bundle like stuff within the game and not with the console.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll have, depending on which one you get, like a commemorative shield or a commemorative sword, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, because I remember whenever I got Platinum, that I got like a collector's edition. I got a special like little Giratina figurine and a little like DS and game carrier case. It was a whole thing, and I was like super into it.
I remember for Diamond and Pearl they did the styluses.
Yeah.
With them with Palkia on the top, which is pretty cool. But yeah, they could do a lot of things with that. But let's go ahead and talk about what we actually saw in the game. I know a big one for you was they got rid of the wild overworld Pokemon.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in that because that like made it feel more like you were a part of the game, like you were in the game. That was one of the things that I was like really looking forward to, like that I got to play a little bit in Let's Go Eevee, was you had your Pokemon walking behind you again. You had like overworld Pokemon. It felt like you were in the Pokemon world. And no, they took it away from us. No, not again.
I know, I definitely was like, you know what, I played a little bit of Let's Go Pikachu, actually, and I was walking through Verdant Forest, and I was like, oh, that's a Weedle, I don't want to encounter that, so I walked away. Nothing against Weedle, I just didn't want to encounter him, so I was like, I'm going to stay away. So I thought that was pretty cool, because you see a Pokemon that you don't recognize, especially with the new game. Pokemon you don't recognize, you're going to go up to it, but then when you encounter it again, you're like, okay, well, I already have one of those. So
yeah, it also was really good and helpful for shiny hunting. Like, I know that there are a lot of people that kind of complained about like how shiny hunting was a little difficult in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and those were the people that soft reset to shiny hunt. But the people that did like full odds shiny hunting, it honestly helped a lot because you didn't have to battle as many Pokemon, and you got to see like them shine in the overworld, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and maybe they weren't showing all their cards at the Direct yesterday. Maybe they were just, here's a little bit, maybe they gave us just a pinch, and we're getting a whole tablespoon.
Maybe, but
So
I'm not gonna hold my breath for it. But yeah, our next announcement isn't probably gonna be until E3 in June, which seems so far away. Even though it's only
yeah, it seems
3
so far away,
months.
and it's only almost 3 months away.
Yeah, tomorrow it'll be 3 months away. Because tomorrow is the start of March.
Yep, March is my favorite month.
Because it's your birthday month.
Yep.
But
moving forward.
Yeah, talk about the gyms.
Battles. Well, let's talk about the wild Pokemon battles because they emphasize that. They show the Pokeball being thrown, and they showed, an encounter with Pikachu, battling it and catching it. I feel like they definitely highlighted this to show everybody here we got rid of the Let's Go capture mechanic.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I did miss like battling the Pokemon, like seeing, because also when you got to battle the Pokemon, if it was one that you were looking at and you got to see a little bit of its ability beforehand, because like if you were hunting like a Houndour with, and I know Houndour wasn't in Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, but it was the first Pokemon with Flash Fire that came to mind. Like, you could use a fire type of move, and if it didn't work, then you knew it had that ability. Like,
yeah.
So I'm definitely happy that the wild encounter battles are back, because that definitely makes it feel like a Pokemon game.
Yeah, it definitely does because you actually have to, battle it, weaken it the way that we were taught so long ago. Please don't reteach us.
They're gonna reteach us.
I am already aware of that. I'm just dreading it. Weaken it, give it a, status, affected status, something like that, and then, throw a Pokeball. We know how to do it, but, they have a wide demographic, so they kind of have to take you to square one with things. But yeah, gyms. So, while you kind of got, I don't want to call them gyms because I don't know if they are gyms. We kind of saw some stuff in the teaser trailer.
Yeah.
I think it was the CEO Game Freak.
I believe so.
I'm not sure. He mentioned gyms. He said the word gyms. So, we know we're getting gyms in this one. I applaud them, though, in Gen 7 for trying something new, but I feel like they saw, okay, we got to go back to gyms. Gyms is the bread and butter. Let's stick with it.
Yeah.
So,
and we already know that we're getting a grass type gym because we saw that in the trailer. Like, it had a big leaf on the front of it.
So Scorbunny Squad's got that one down.
Scorbunny Squad's got that one down. Unless they've got like a bunch of like grass water types. Like if the Lotad line is in here, if the Lotad line is in this game, then Scorbunny might be in trouble. But
might be. We don't know the typing.
We don't know. But I also, looking at the map and again watching a bunch of videos yesterday, people are speculating that there's a water type gym, a ground type gym, and a fairy type. Those are the ones that they like could tell a little bit from the context and the coloration of the gyms, because they've all the gyms have that kind of look of a football stadium, and so they saw those, and there's one that's in the ice area that wasn't colored white or light blue, like indicating that it's an ice gym. It was kind of like a darker color, so they like almost black or gray. So someone's speculating that we might finally get a dark type gym, which would be the first dark type gym we would ever have. We've had dark type Elite Four members, but we've never had a dark type gym.
Well, that could be. I would love to see a dark gym first off, but that also could be that since we're looking at the map and everything is mainly white, that they wanted to give a different color other than white, so we could distinctly see it.
Yeah, but the other color for ice would be like light blue, because like when you're talking about like a water gem or a water area, it's usually like a darker blue or like a royal blue. But when you're talking about like an ice thing, like the ICMZ crystal that you get in Sun and Moon, and then the almost all the ice type badges that you've gotten have been like that baby light blue.
So. Yeah, that's true. I actually would hope for a dark gem. Give me something that I haven't seen before. It could be. They could do so much with this.
They could.
But yeah, the map looks amazing. I hope I can, roam those hills that are behind the map up at the top. That would be cool. What else was amazing about yesterday? Just the graphics looked great. Mm-hmm. And I know that's not finished game footage, but to me, I think the last Pokemon game that I was extremely hyped for that I saw, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want that, was, I want to say maybe Black and White, because you had just taken the step up from Gen 4. And this game just looks incredible. It blew me away. I was half asleep when I started watching the Direct. And the minute I saw, that beginning town where you start, I was immediately like, that woke me up. I was like, wow, this looks incredible. And I was just blown away by the way it looks, the way they really look like they did a good job with the city, making it look like London. I immediately knew, watching the Direct trailer, like, okay, this is a UK game.
Yeah. Another thing that people are talking about is there was a little shot in the trailer where it showed like these green hills, and there was a carving etched into one of the hills, and that's representative of I need to be able to speak of an actual carving in England of a man, except this time it's of what's believed to be either a minor legendary or the pseudo legendary of the region.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it could be the legendary, but it also could be like a minor legendary, because we always get like those minor legendaries. Like in Gen 7 we got the Tapus, which were legendary, but they were kind of like a little bit minor. They weren't the box art legendaries.
Yeah, they weren't they could be the 3 legendary that we get in every game, like the dogs in Johto and the birds in Kanto.
Yeah.
But since we are talking about legendary, you told me about it yesterday. What's your speculation based on the shield and sword logo?
My speculation is twin wolves, because on the hilt of the sword and at the top of the shield there are 2 wolves' heads, and so I don't know exactly what type they would be. I feel like steel would be incorporated somehow, because this is also another thing that I noticed, and that I keep referencing all these other videos, but it's just something that everyone kind of noticed, was this is a very industrial region. Normally a lot of the regions that we've had in the past have been very eco-friendly, but this is a very industrial region. We have factories, we have what looks to be like oil refineries. It's very industrial, so I feel like steel may be incorporated into the typing of the box art legendaries. But I feel like the two wolves' heads that we have on the sword and the shield are representative of the box art legendaries.
Yeah, definitely. that sounds like a great speculation for it, because usually we would get glimpse at who the Rockstar legendaries are. But, they could be not showing their hand still. I still feel like there's so much that they're holding back from us. This is just a little taste.
Oh, definitely.
So maybe at E3, they'll unveil it. They did say that there's a lot more to announce for the Pokemon brand. We could talk about that real quick. To me, at first, the first thing I thought is, Gen 4 remake. That's what I was hoping for, but then I feel like they would have said more. They wouldn't have used the word brand. I feel like they would have used for the Pokemon gaming world or Pokemon RPG games. So I think with that, I'm not looking too much into it. I assume that they're going to probably announce maybe another movie.
Maybe. But they just had the Pokemon Power of Us movie.
Yeah, that's true. But that one did pretty well, so maybe they could be, in the making of something else, or they could be debuting the anime that's going to go along with this. So, for all of us, I know both of us are looking forward to a Gen 4 remake. That's probably my favorite region. I don't think we'd get that for at least another year.
Yeah, because they usually space out the games pretty well, but I'm trying to remember, like, with the Gen 6, yeah, I believe it was like a year between Gen 6 and the Gen 3 remakes.
I mean, they could release one on Monday and one on Tuesday, and I will buy both. But that's just me.
Right. Truth. I was trying to remember because, like, both Gen 6 and the Gen 3 remakes came out when I was in high school.
Another thing is, do you think that you'll be able to bring Pokemons from your previous games into this? I know it's console, but I know Pokemon has that program where...
Pokemon Bank, yeah.
Pokemon Bank, yeah, where you can store your Pokemon.
I do think that they're gonna, like, find some way to incorporate that, because they always have. Like, whenever they switched from Game Boy games to DS games, they had the Pokemon Park, where you imported your Pokemon from the Game Boy games to your DS games, and then from the regular DS games to from Gen 4 to Gen 5, they had the Dream Park, I believe it was. No, I don't think it's the Dream Park, but like they still had some sort of catching mechanic where you were able to transfer your Pokemon from one game to the other, and from there they had the Pokemon Bank where you could transfer from Gen 5 to Gen 6. And then they kept Pokemon Bank for Gen 6 to Gen 7. So they may keep Pokemon Bank, they may come up with a completely new system, who knows. But I do believe that they're going to find some way to be able to transfer the Pokemon from your previous game to your new game, because there's no way they wouldn't. They've always done that, because you've worked too hard to get some of the Pokemon that you've had. Some of the Pokemon that you have, you got through events that happened years ago. So and there's like no way to get that Pokemon again unless they do a release, like what they did for the 20th anniversary. That's honestly how I got a lot of legendaries, was through the 20th anniversary and going to GameStop.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that they'll come up with something. It'll probably be kind of where you kind of have to become champion. I bet.
It's always after you beat you beat the league of that region.
Yeah, because they're not going to let you import that level 100 starter that you have from one of your previous games over in right before the Elite Four. So. Yeah.
But another thing I wanted to touch on before we signed off was the starters' stats. One thing I remember telling you yesterday, just getting a feel of the starters, that I feel like we could possibly see like get it. We could possibly tell like what their strongest stat would be. Like I believe Score Bunny looks like she would be probably a strong like physical attacker, just because that like either a strong physical attack, a fast physical attacker, because like she was running up that like little wheel thing, and then she like slid into the field. So I feel like she's going to be a big fast physical attacker. Grookey, I feel like he may be like just a strong defender. Maybe a strong like physical and special defense, or maybe a fast physical or special defense. I don't know what like made me get the vibe of defense from Grookey, because I feel like it should be applied to Sobble, but Sobble seems like he's a special attacker.
Yeah, I agree, especially with Grookey, because it looks like he kind of fixes that grass in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, he gives off more of that defense vibe. So, and then I agree with everything you said about Score Bunny and Sobble too. You know, Sobble just looks kind of underrated. Like everybody's kind of, oh, Sobble, but then everybody's looking at Score Bunny and Grookey. But I feel like Sobble might,
honestly,
I haven't seen the final evolutions. But.
Yeah, and I will say the things that I've seen like the most of is honestly like Grookey's the one that's getting the most hate that I've seen, and I'm like, aw, poor Grookey. But then again, like almost every starter has had that one that's gotten hate. Like last gen was Poplio. Poplio got a lot of hate. And then turns out Primarina turned out to be like one of the best starters of the three. So I feel like a lot of people may sleep on Grookey, and he turns out to evolve into like this completely badass character.
It'd be cool if they made him into this because with Infernape and the Chimchar line, that line was incredible. But maybe with Grookey, they'll make him like the gorilla. That'd be really cool.
Maybe.
That'd be awesome. And then, Sobble, they could go a lot of ways with that. They can make some alligator,
I don't think they're gonna go alligator. I think they're gonna stick with like the lizard serpent-esque type.
Yeah, I can see that. And then with Score Bunny, we're just gonna get probably a really cool looking rabbit looking thing.
Yeah. Since I speculated
a lot of potential for him.
Since I speculated a rabbit with a fire fairy, I want to see a rabbit with pixie wings. Give me my pixie rabbit.
And then even then, if they decide to put Mega in this game, their Megas would look amazing too.
I feel like if they're gonna bring in Megas, I honestly don't think they're gonna add any more Mega evolutions. I think that stayed with Gen 6. I feel like they're gonna allow us to Mega evolve our Pokemon, but only the Pokemon that have had Megas before.
That's true.
Would it be nice if we got new Megas? Yes, because in my opinion, that was kind of like the best gimmick that they did of a region. Z crystals were okay, but they didn't have the same feel as Mega Evolution did. And plus, Gen 2 still needs their Mega Evolutions.
Yeah.
Because how are you gonna give Gen 1 Mega Evolutions? More specifically, give one starter from Gen 1 2 Mega Evolutions, then give the best region, Hoenn, Mega Evolutions, but skip a generation.
Well, I mean, Charizard is probably one of the most popular Pokemon. He's definitely in my top 3.
Yeah, he's definitely a popular one, and a lot of people were a little outraged that his first Mega that was revealed wasn't Dragon still.
Yeah, I feel like they had to clean that up.
Yeah, but like seriously, how are you gonna like skip a generation?
Yeah, exactly. But that's all I have to say about Gen 8. Now it's just a waiting game. We were waiting before, all speculations. Now we've got something. We still have speculations, but I'm good with this. I'm good with waiting the 3 months until E3 before they probably maybe give us like an extra 20 seconds of the trailer.
Right.
But
We may get introduced to like the rival or something.
Yeah, or maybe the professor.
Yeah, because like I'm trying to remember of E3's past the like what they announced there. I think they announced the rival, the because E3 is like a big event, so I feel like they're gonna get like the bulk of it out. That way people know what to expect. And they may release a few new Pokemon there. Like I highly doubt that we're gonna get the evolutions to the starters at E3 because I don't think they've ever really like released the evolutions of the starters at E3. I think they've just like gone a little bit more in depth of what they are, plus releasing like a few new Pokemon of the region, like I think maybe the regional bird or something.
Yeah.
But
I mean, all we can do is wait now.
Yep. But like I said, that's pretty much our thoughts on it so far. The Gen 8 hype train is leaving the station, and we are all on it.
Definitely.
So until next time, trainers, see ya.